You've probably seen a lot of roguelites in your time, but Ball X Pit manages to feel both familiar and oddly fresh at the same time. At first glance, it kind of looks like a 3D version of Loop Hero, with that bleak aesthetic leaning heavily on browns and grays. The town in the demo, while small, is detailed thanks to the 3D graphics. Buildings and objects have that same minimalist, almost drab charm you'd expect from a post-apocalyptic Loop Hero vibe. But don't worry, it's not all gray and boring. There's enough personality in the enemies and combat to keep things visually interesting. Speaking of the demo, there's only one stage available, and it's pretty straightforward. Imagine a single straight corridor with stone-colored floors and walls. That's it. The space expands a bit as progress is made, but it still keeps a very bare-bones feeling. It's definitely not a showcase of what the full game will offer visually. That said, the emptiness puts the spotlight squarely on the combat, which is where the game really shines. Enemies in Ball X Pit are unusual. They're essentially stationary busts of monsters, which might sound underwhelming, but it actually works in the game's favor. They're reminiscent of Battle Brothers and how they're sculpted, with enough detail to make each one distinct despite the skeleton-heavy lineup in the demo. From basic minions to the final boss, it's easy to tell who's who. Attacks, on the other hand, are where the game really gets fun. Your weapons are literally balls, throwing or shooting them at enemies depending on the attack type you pick up during a run. Each upgrade or pickup changes how the balls look, adding a surprisingly satisfying visual variety to what could have been repetitive combat. Performance-wise, Ball X Pit runs impressively smoothly. Even on a huge 49-inch ultra-wide, there's no lag, no frame drops, and no moments where it feels like the balls on screen are about to take over the entire computer. Audio is another pleasant surprise. With constant balls bouncing and ricocheting, it would be easy for the sound to become grating. But it's mixed really well. Individual balls have subtle sound effects that blend with the background music, while meaningful impacts and special attacks punch through the mix just enough to feel satisfying. There are also 13 separate audio bars in the settings. Yes, 13. If the balls aren't loud enough for your tastes, it's possible to crank them up. The background music and enemy reactions get equal attention, and together they create a surprisingly engaging soundscape. Where Ball X Pit really stands out is in its gameplay loop. It's a roguelite, and it's built around the idea of volume. Progression isn't just about leveling up your character, it's about repeated runs to collect resources and construct your town. Harvesting is manual. Shots was hit crops, resources, or buildings to gather materials, and you only get one harvest per run. Buildings, once you have the blueprints and resources, still require multiple hits from harvesters before they're fully constructed. It's not exactly the most intuitive or satisfying mechanic, and in the demo, it feels more like padding than meaningful progression. For example, unlocking the final character can require multiple pointless runs even after meeting all the criteria. It's a bit of a grind, and it may frustrate players who prefer a more streamlined experience. Combat is deceptively simple at first. It's all about shooting balls at enemies that are slowly advancing along the corridor while moving automatically forward. Short-range enemies hit automatically if they get too close, while ranged enemies require constant movement in 4 directions to dodge attacks. The goal is straightforward: eliminate threats before they can harm you. But mastering the rhythm of ball throws, dodge timing, and upgrade selection adds a layer of depth that keeps things engaging. Leveling up mid-run provides choices among 3 upgrades, everything from new attack types to movement speed boosts, damage, defense, or healing. Over time, learning which upgrades to combine becomes crucial, especially once fusion abilities are unlocked. Fusions allow you to combine 2 abilities into one, resulting in some absurd but effective attacks like Poison Fire or Fire Laser combos. The demo had just one map, a mining cave corridor, but the full game promises a variety of environments, from deserts to icy caverns, so the potential for diversity is definitely there. Controls are tight and responsive, which is key given the chaotic nature of the combat. Enabling auto-throwing adds a layer of pure chaos as balls instantly rebound and fire back at enemies. It's the kind of mayhem that makes every run feel dynamic and unpredictable. The audio design during combat is interesting, blending medieval tones with futuristic EDM when entering the pit. It adds momentum and keeps the player pushing further. That said, the repetitive ricochets and enemy cues can get tiring over longer runs, so muting the audio after a while isn't unexpected. Overall, Ball Pit Demo delivers a solid taste of a game that's part roguelite, part chaotic physics experiment, and part town builder. It's not perfect. The harvesting and building mechanics can feel tedious, and the story in the demo is bland. But the combat, the variety of attacks, the fusion system, and the visual chaos of bouncing balls make it surprisingly fun. It's a game that rewards repeated playthroughs, experimenting with upgrades, and refining strategies. If you enjoy roguelites with unique mechanics and don't mind a bit of grinding, Ball X Pit shows a lot of promise. If the full game expands on the visual environments and story, it could become a genuinely memorable experience. Right now, the demo is like a small appetizer, satisfying but leaving you hungry for more. By the end of the day, Ball X Pit is worth a look for players curious about innovative roguelites with an oddball twist. Just be ready to embrace the grind, chaos, and endless bouncing balls. It's a quirky little gem in the demo stage, and it'll be interesting to see how it grows when the full game drops.